Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to BS session number 55. We're here talking with Jake from Mantis. I was supposed to write something down that was going to be really entertaining for the beginning of this show. Instead, we started talking about knives and folding knives and all kinds of things that we can't have in Canada, and I didn't write a goddamn thing. So press the button. Let's get this started.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS, ballistically speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.
Okay, did you guys hear the music?
Yeah?
Is that right?
You didn't?
Okay, same problem. No, same problem as we had last week. Heard nothing but the voiceover.
You know, everybody tells us that our streaming platform tells us that our streaming platform is the best streaming platform out there. But I have questions. I have legitimate questions. Some of those questions center around whether it's actually good.
I definitely heard the music.
Okay.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
If you guys don't care, a tiny story just to start off here. You've got Antoine Dodson as like the voiceover in there.
Yeah.
I was in Huntsville, Alabama, stationed there at Redstone when that whole thing happened.
Oh, really?
Every time I see it, I crack up inside. Man, I was there when that went down. I thought it was hilarious.
So did everybody hide their wives and hide their kids, or was nobody taking his advice?
Yeah, not a single person. We were all out the streets.
The first part of that voiceover is a Canadian politician. She's a member of parliament for the Liberal Party in Canada. And she was dragged out in front of the media, about a year, maybe 10 or 11 months ago, Curt? In trying to,
a little longer than that, but
maybe a little longer. But she was dragged in front of the media as the expert in the Liberal caucus to try and smooth over some of these gun bans and shit that they've been trying to pull. And, of course, in the span of this, she tells everybody that she knows all about this. She's been hunting with her father and her family since she was a little girl, and she has a 22 gauge that she uses for what was it, moose, black bear, and squirrels.
Yeah.
Or something.
I can
like
imagine ballistics that transfer from squirrel to moose.
Yeah, well, and that trusty 22 gauge is widely known as the most versatile firearm caliber / gauge.
The deadliest.
I'm surprised it doesn't have a coin of its own.
yeah. And then she the media started asking her questions, and they were like questions of like, "Are you really an expert?" And her response was like, "Do any of you actually have an FAC, which is a firearms acquisition certificate?" And she didn't realize that we haven't used firearms acquisition certificates since 1998. That they were replaced in 1998 with the PAL, which stands for Possession and Acquisition License for firearms. So
that sounds up to date. That makes a bunch of sense.
Goody Hutchings, that's her name. I was trying to remember.
I'm Googling that as soon as we're done here.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's kind of cringeworthy, especially for an American. It'll be cringeworthy. So before we get too deep into the weeds, because we're starting off topic already, which is fantastic. No, it's all good. Do it. That's what we do. Let's pay the bills though first. Curt,
Yes, sir.
You want to start us off?
All right. Well, I'll pick the easy one now. We're gonna go with sponsoring this particular episode by Mantis X dry fire training systems.
What?
How easy was that? Find them. Where do we find them, Jake?
Online, mantisx.com.
There you go.
And we've got local dealers too. Yeah. We've got a map on there too. So just go check it out. There's dealers everywhere. So
I feel like you just like copped out of that, out of the ad
Well,
reads by
Was
choosing
it really a
Mantis.
cop? Listen, I'll do the first one on the main list too if you want, but I
No,
thought
it's
we would
fine. I
just
got
take
it.
this opportunity.
It's
Oh, I
okay. I
see.
got
Are you
it.
going to
Yeah,
pout for the rest of the show now too?
at least half of it.
Okay, fair enough.
But our show is also brought to you by EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta. Building Canada's finest precision rifles. Commission a build today at emprifles.ca.
Indeed, and Bolt Action Coffee, bringing specialty coffee to the precision shooting world. Order coffee and merchandise at boltactioncoffee.com.
And part and parcel with callsign 66. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Book a course with them now at callsign66.ca. And what we don't write and what we should maybe mention, callsign 66 is a rifle training company. So if you want to learn all of the ins and outs
That's
of how to reach out and touch things at long distances with projectiles that are measured in grains, then go to callsign66.ca.
That's true. We kind of wrote that as like the insider's note. Those who know know.
IYKYK?
If you know, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Rooster
right.
showing his age
Also-
again right there.
Yeah.
Never mind, you guys. Also with us is Odell Engineering. Pick up a Canuck shotgun or Bergera rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at odellengineeringltd.com.
And
Anything
Apex.
smart to say about that one?
About Odell? No, that was fantastic. That was fantastic. Although, hey, JR, and I wasn't included in the gents. Although mentioning Odell Engineering, did you notice the new Bergera rifle?
I have not.
I can never remember what it's called. It's not called the Precise. It's called the. Oh, my brain is farting and I can't remember what it's called now. But it's a Bergera rifle that comes in an HNT 26 MDT chassis.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't lie to you.
Okay.
Are you looking it up? Is that what all the clicking is?
I am new for 2023. Let's see.
It might not be on the website yet.
They got
It was posted on their Facebook page though.
in a Hunt 26.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
yeah.
Well, why not, right?
Well, it looks fantastic. Like if I didn't already have a wonderful hunting rifle, it would be my hunting rifle.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have two wonderful hunting rifles because since JR's here, I'm going to suck up to JR because I am planning to use my Sterling R18 in 6.5 Grendel to hunt this year.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I can get it, tickety boo between now and November. But anyway, we are also brought to you by Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Find them at apexoptics.co and grab yourself a Rival 4-32 rifle scope and get on the mailing list for more exciting products coming soon. That hasn't been updated in a while because the Summit binoculars are also available. 3 different models of Summit binoculars, and coming really, really soon is the Hunter 3-15 hunting scope and the Edge 1-10 LPVO. Coming soon for Milrad lovers everywhere.
Yes, the good people.
Yeah. Who's next?
Yeah, I bet you're surprised that I'm not stuck on MOA, since you make old man jokes about me the rest of the
Well, but you got into
I made the
precision
transition
stuff and
years ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
I understand.
At least you're growing,
Get
Richard.
swept
It's
away
fine.
by the herd. Yeah.
Old
Figured it
dogs
out
and
on
new
my
tricks
abacus.
fit in here somewhere. Yeah. Okay, you're
All
up
right,
next.
Ribstone Gunsmithing. Craftsmanship done right. Sorry, there's a lag here again. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm.
And JR will like this one, the Shooting Edge in Calgary, Alberta, home of the Sterling Arms R18. The shooting sports retail store with indoor range, education and training, laser engraving, fine firearms, and a new 6-lane axe throwing bay with what do you call it? Cantina, lounge. What is it
About
called?
anything you could imagine.
Um, food procurement, food and beverage procurement center.
Restaurant-ish type.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, find them on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, or X if you're up to date, and on their website at theshootingedge.com. Eatery.
All right,
JR says it's called an eatery.
Eatery.
That sounds overly simplistic.
Mike said it's called a speakeasy, but I don't think that you can't call it a speakeasy. You don't want to get raided.
I think they're only in the basements.
Yeah, I don't think the JR's isn't in a basement. So, yeah. But it does make it sound more mysterious and fun, though, doesn't it?
Sure.
And you know what? JR's apparently all for it. So, from now on, it is the Shooting Edge Speakeasy.
Deal.
Deal.
All right. Finally, we have Mark Scopes Canada. The Dion Optical Design line of rifle scopes has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Niza at markscopes.ca. That'll wrap up our obligations.
All right, yeah, we have no more obligations for the rest of the show. It's just
Zero. The rest
zero.
of it is a crapshoot.
Hey, let's start off with this. The problem. He's never the solution. He says, I love my Mantis. However, why on earth do I need to turn location on my phone to use the app? I actually know the answer to that, but hey, Jake, why don't I let you answer that?
I will, but I'm curious to know what Chris is going to say about this. Yeah, go ahead, Chris. I want to hear it. I have the technical response, but I want to know what you're going to say.
I believe that it is because the gyroscope, oh, wait, no, that doesn't work because the gyroscope and the accelerometer are in the Mantis unit.
Right.
Bullshit button.
Let me think. There's got to be a reason here. Let's carry on.
Well done, Jake. Thank you.
I'll make it easy. I don't want to burn Chris out. We're only 10 minutes in here.
No,
right.
no, I want to figure this out for myself because I know I can. Okay. So
okay, I'll give you a hint. It has to do with your cellular service and how your cellular service is transmitted from your phone.
Yeah, I got nothing. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. So if you thought about your phone like a PC, right? Yeah. You have a network card in your PC. Your network card is what puts out your Bluetooth and your connection to service. So you have to give permission to the network card in the phone to allow the unit to access the actual service in the card. So actual, geolocation services has nothing to do with connecting to the Mantis. It's just a phone permission, a setting permission to allow your phone to use Bluetooth to connect to the sensor.
So, yeah, okay. Yeah, because I've noticed other things when you that do connect through Bluetooth that you have to enable location services for as well.
Right. Yeah. And I could be kind of too far forward here, but it has to do with the detail of network flow that you're allowing to, because when I hook up my Bluetooth headphones, that I don't need location services, right? But because
it's just transmitting audio. Right.
Yeah. Yep. So it could be the number of lines of data that has to get transmitted. The 10 moves 400 points of data a second to your phone.
Right. So I'll bet you that's it. I'll bet you location services just has to be enabled to transmit data, period. So it's not the alert the government so they know who the next Lucas Botkin is. There will never be another
for
Lucas
the fans,
Botkin.
Aren't you?
They call him Nabot for a reason. You're never going to beat him.
Yeah, there's only one Lucas Botkin. Okay, I need to back up. I know we're off of this, but I think it's a really good comment. So JR said he wanted to call his lounge the One Shot, One Spill Cafe.
One shot, one spill, one strike, you're out.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. All right. Well, we've already answered one technical question. Let's back up and go back to the beginning. Your name is Jake. Tell
Yes.
us about you. How did you get involved in guns? How did you get involved with Mantis? And then we'll go from there. How about?
Okay. All right. I'm a little long-winded here, so if you guys get bored, just blink or flick the camera or something, and,
Oh,
and we'll
we'll
speed it up a
totally,
little bit. But
we'll completely
Gonna have
interrupt
a
you.
senior citizens nap here.
so
Him
I
in his
grew up in
shirt
the.
that's 3 sizes too small. Kurt's taking a
Oh,
page out
easy.
of
I like
Shane's
it.
book.
I like
The
it.
Schmedium.
Rooster, if I could fill a shirt out like that, I would. Dude.
I know, like Rooster's chest is looking huge.
It was donated by Shane Mansour.
You got that Arnold Schwarzenegger pump going on. Sorry. All right, Jake.
Tell a story for God's sake.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I grew up in the Black Hills of South Dakota. That's where I come from. And I grew up on a cattle ranch out there. And we did a bunch of, prairie dog shooting, pronghorn hunting, muley, turkey. It was all out there. So firearms have been a part of my life, forever, since the beginning. And then professionally, how I kind of got tied up with Mantis was I had spent 4 years in the U.S. Army. And then when I got out, I guess I should back up. When I was in, I did essentially software. I was a geospatial analyst, imagery analyst, which gave me, analytic training and a lot of hands-on with software. And then as I got out, kind of applied that in the civilian side, did a lot of device repair, stuff like that. And then after that, started working for a government CMS. So they built websites for like cities and counties.
Okay.
And I literally saw Mantis on a Facebook ad. I had heard of them before. So I threw my hat in the ring and interviewed well, and I've been there ever since.
Like you saw the help wanted ad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was cool for me because like I see that stuff all the time, like, oh, we're hiring, or, come work for Apple or Google or whatever it is, and so I thought, what the heck, I'll throw it out there, and I actually scored an interview and it went well. So yeah.
And how long you been working with them now?
So November is going to be a year. So almost a year. And most of my capacity this whole time has been, what's the word I'm looking for? Customer service and technical support.
Okay.
Yep. And then just 2 months ago started as the Kansas sales rep. So I'm the solo sales rep out here in Kansas.
That doesn't sound like a bad thing. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
I love it. I get to go to a lot of cool shows, meet a lot of cool people. It's guns every weekend and everyone in the community. So
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
That's cool.
It's been good. Yeah.
Okay, tell us about Mantis. When did Mantis? How long has Mantis been around? First of all.
Yeah. So I think technically 2014, but honestly, I think production, good marketing, things like that, kind of started in about 2016.
Okay.
And that was with the flagship sensor, the Mantis X. We call it OGX at work.
All right.
Yep.
So what could the OGX do?
Dry fire, essentially. It was, I think back then it was, I don't know, maybe 20 or 30 data points per second, with just a handful of drills. It was essentially 3 people working in the whole company trying to make it happen. And then kind of from there, it was a unique idea that really kind of took off for them really well. And more people started buying on, and more people started coming in on the team. And it's been like basically every 2-3 years, there's been a new iteration come out that's expanded on the last one. And where we're at with the X10 now is technically the second generation of sensor, but with a whole bunch of goodies in it. So, yeah.
So the original sensor, it was still like since the beginning, it's always been like accelerometer, gyroscope based.
Yep, the flagship, the sensor has been. Yep.
Interesting. Because it's something that's really I think it might be completely unique um, in the dry fire realm. I know that most of what when people think of a dry fire system, they think of these little fake cartridges where the primer should be as a little press button for a laser light, and they're shooting a little laser light out and using a camera to pick up where the hits are, but it's not they're very different systems, right? They're telling you where you're hitting, but they're not able to tell you what you're doing to make yourself hit there. And
Right.
that's really different with the Mantis, is that it's not so much concerned about where exactly you're hitting. It's concerned about what you're doing to get where you want to be, and are you hitting where you're aiming.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
That,
So
that was
just
yeah. Go ahead.
well, I don't want to give you guys like a whole sales pitch here, but just like a quick delineation of what we do offer. We have a product like that you were talking about, the laser cartridge, and we call ours the Laser Academy. And
Yep.
it uses a caliber specific laser cartridge, the camera on your mobile device, and we have smart targets. So it's a target with a QR code in each corner, and your camera recognizes the target, and that's how it scores for you. We kind of break it down kind of two ways when people reach out to us and are like, what's the difference here? I don't understand what's going on. The X series sensors, an easy way to think about it is like a Fitbit for your firearm, right? It's going to coach you a little bit. It's going to give you statistics on what's happening. It's going to tell you how you're moving. And then the Laser Academy digitally simulates a flat range, right? So it's two separate ends of the training spectrum there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then you, obviously, like the X, I guess it's fair to say, is kind of like the original design. You have the Laser Academy as well, and now you guys have come up with some really cool stuff. A lot of it is completely pointless in our country, but hey, we've got some American listeners too. So tell us about is it Blackbeard?
The Blackbeard. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about Blackbeard.
Right. So technically, the Blackbeard is an AR-15 trigger reset system.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's a mil spec Armalite 15, it'll fit and run. So if it's 6.5 Grendel, or if it's 300 Blackout, whatever, if the receiver's 15 mil spec, it'll fit and run. And it just replaces the bolt and the charging handle. It's one solid piece that goes in. And then on the original version, the original Blackbeard, it just had like the 20 round magazine, which is the battery that runs the steel. And there's a plunger that sits on top of the trigger hammer. So every time you pull the trigger, that plunger just forces it back down every time. When that was designed,
it mechanically does this?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's mechanically resetting the trigger every time.
Every time. Yep.
Oh, that I didn't know. That's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. It really is.
We played with it at SHOT Show, and it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it kind of upset me, actually, because I knew we couldn't have it. But we're gonna get sharks with freaking laser beams on their heads
soon. It's coming. Yeah. I mean, someone's gonna make them. We're not, but someone's gonna.
Yeah, someone will.
As soon as someone comes up with an internal bubble level in a scope, Jens.
Wait, no, we've been told multiple times that somebody already has. I can never remember who it was. So yeah, JR played with it at EWA. JR, you didn't play with it at SHOT Show? I'm surprised that JR didn't play with it at SHOT Show, but yeah, so that the black, like that's innovative. Like that must be going like hotcakes in the US.
Yeah. And frankly, it didn't take us long. I think we had the Blackbeard out for 2 years before we're like, we should probably build the sensor into this. So that's what we have now with the X sensor in it, the Blackbeard X.
Right.
And that's
so there's an X sensor in the bolt carrier replacement.
It's in the magazine. So the bolt's
okay.
the same. Yep, between the two. But yeah, it's got its own drills. Its own feedback is all AR specific, obviously, stuff like that.
Gotcha. Yeah, Jens is a big history buff.
Yeah.
Now this would be cool. So we have this thing in Canada, this monstrosity. It's called a liberal government, and you may or may not know that around the middle of 2020 they banned most of the um, semi-automatic rifles that we enjoyed for a long time, including such innocuous rifles as like the Mini 14 and the M14, and
Well, more specifically, the M1A, the M305 Chinese copy. We've never been able to have the M14, the true M14.
Fair point. Fire. Yeah, fair point. Yeah, fair point.
That's my contribution. I'll go back to sleep now.
No, please wake up anytime. So as the big ones that we lost in that ban was the AR-15 and the AR-10. Although technically we never had the AR-10, but we could use like derivatives of it, like the Stag 10, and there were some Canadian-made versions, and that sort of thing. So we lost all of those, and starting to come into Canada shortly before that were some AR 180 platform rifles. And so that kind of just got kicked into high gear. And for the last several years, right, you're right, Mike is correct. It wasn't the AR-10, it was the AR-102. Just the same as we can't have an AR-18, but we can have AR-180s. Anyway, several Canadian companies now are making rifles that are based on the 180 platform. One of them is Sterling Arms International, that is making, it's called the R18, and it's essentially kind of like considered a modernized AR-180 base that's, modernized, still proprietary and kind of novel design. I'm really butchering this description here. But
we're waiting for something good.
Well, I'm trying to tiptoe around things so that I don't misdescribe it, because how consequences are in this fucking country. Anyway, the point being here, I guess, AR 180 platforms are a lot more popular now. One thing that Sterling Arms International is looking at doing is the development of the R20. And JR will correct me if I'm wrong on this, because I haven't talked to him about it in a very long time. But it's my understanding that the R20 will be a 180 based high caliber rifle. I would imagine probably in 308 and 6.5 Creedmoor, if I had to guess. And anyway, he was making that's a very long way of making the introduction here. He's saying that he wants to work with Mantis to get a kit for the R20. So you guys would basically have to just create how does that work? You just create a plastic mold, and then you fit the plastic mold around the electronic components.
Essentially, yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And without divulging, too much here, at SHOT Show this year, we had the AK Blackbeard out. We had the Banshee PCC Blackbeard out. We're working on an AR-10. So yeah, more of them are coming for sure.
Well, I imagine it shouldn't be that hard, right? I mean, once you have the components, then you have to have plastic molds, and then I would imagine I imagine there's probably a lot of outfitting to the rifle in terms of software, isn't there?
Well, so it's not nearly as much software as it is getting the hardware to reset correctly over and over and over and over again without failure. That's the biggest, hardest part. It took. I don't want to butcher this too much, but it took a couple years of development to even get the first Blackbeard out. It took I don't know how many different models and intervals of testing and fitment issues to be able to fit, how many companies make the AR on top of triggers, on top of, all those different things. So it took a long time to develop. But that was the learning curve, with this platform. AR-10 is going to be really similar. MCX, very similar platform that we're getting ready to do something similar with. So it's definitely one of those deals where now that we're ahead of the curve on how does this work, I think hopefully in the future it'll be a lot easier to be able to adapt to other platforms and make that work. I'm not familiar with the R20 though, so I'm not I'm not sure if that's something. Absolutely send us an email. We take suggestions all the time, and if there's a production company out there watching or listening, or
that would be
got all the ends. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely. Reach out. That's what we love. So.
Well, I think the R20, I have no idea where they're at in that stage. I don't know if they're still in design or if they're testing prototypes at this point or where they're at with it. I just know that JR's been hinting at it. This is the first time I've ever seen him mention it publicly, actually. So they got to be at least getting closer to a prototype if they're not there yet. But it would be, boy, if we could have something like that in Canada, a dry fire system like that would be amazing.
So I imagine with all the scanning technologies and that, and with 3D printing the way it is now, at least the base sort of case for that system should be reasonably easy. It's the guts that's going to take some doing, I suppose, right?
Well, it sounds like, Jake, what you were saying is that the hardest part is probably mechanically resetting the trigger.
Time.
Well, so I mean, that's certainly a part of it, but just like Rooster said, could we print something up and test it and get it to work semi-reliably? I'm sure we could scan a bolt of whatever's going on here and how it interfaces with the trigger, and maybe within a couple of weeks have something printed out that every 2 out of 5 trigger pulls or 3 out of 5 trigger pulls you're getting a reset. But that's half the battle. And then kind of like what you're leading to, Chris, it's once we have the mold and it's printed out and good to go, then we have to send it to the production company who retools the injection molds for us. And then we have to make sure that those are coming out perfect and without issue before we start assembling and so on. So it is a longer process in bulk, right?
I'm going to say you're just going to completely luck out with the R20, and it's going to work fantastic, and we're going to see it on shelves next year.
Yeah, probably not, but I hope so.
I love speaking for people.
You do it well.
So okay, and I'm a little bit more ignorant than I should be here, but what are you allowed to have? Is it a full semi-auto ban, or how does that work?
That was tried not very long ago. The current iteration that it has not passed but seems to be on the table to be pushed is all semi-automatic, call it long guns, that have detachable box magazines, that the magazines are capable of holding more than 5 rounds. So currently in Canada, we cannot use standard capacity magazines. We take a 25 or a 30 round magazine and we have to punch a rivet into it so that the follower can't be depressed any further than would allow about 5 rounds to be put in the magazine. That's not good enough for the current government. They want to ban any rifle that takes a magazine that can be in any way, shape, or form altered to hold more than 5 rounds, which would effectively make all detachable box semi-automatic rifles illegal in our country if that were to pass. They just failed at it. Hopefully it won't be reintroduced. We don't know. What is currently banned is an extremely long list of semi-auto rifles that are really just your more popular platforms. So, Ruger's Mini 14, M14s, AR-15s, AR-10s. What else am I missing here? There were so many. We've also got
SKS's is a big one.
Yeah, it's not banned, but they tried it again. Luckily, they failed. We are not allowed to have the way they worded this, we're not allowed to have any firearm that produces more than 10,000 joules of energy at the muzzle. So that includes 50 caliber. That includes things like 700 Nitro Express, 600 Nitro Express, which is fucking nutty. They've also banned any firearm with a bore diameter greater than 20. Is it 20 millimeter?
Yeah.
Greater than 20 millimeter, which includes some like really old shotguns, actually, like single shot
it
shotguns.
has the potential to include almost all 12 gauge shotguns, because it depends on, and there was no clarification ever on this, where in the bore do you measure. So there's that bit there. Also, the Weatherby Mark V was banned by name,
Yes,
regardless of caliber, right?
Yeah, the Weatherby bolt
Ruger
action
number
hunting
1.
rifle, the Ruger number 1, which is a falling block action.
Right.
Yeah.
Highly dangerous. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Used in convenience store robberies everywhere.
It's like Goody Hutchings, that Liberal MP we were telling you earlier. It's like she watched Quigley Down Under, and she was like, "Man, that's way too dangerous. Those kind of guns gotta go."
Gonna shoot them some aborigines.
Anything with a
from
ladder
half
sight.
mile
If
away.
I can dial it up past 600 yards, no.
Forget it. Yeah. All water buckets everywhere. We have to save water buckets. Anyway, yeah. So that's basically where. Also, we can own the handguns that we own, but we cannot buy, sell, or trade, or inherit or pass on handguns. It's just if you have one, you have one. If you don't, you don't, because that's going to keep the world safe. So that's also, there's a lot of silly shit, Jake. We could be here all night, and we're just making all of our Canadian listeners mad by going over it again.
Yeah. I definitely wasn't I didn't want to get too far into politics there. I was trying to, like, in my head, kind of figure out, like, I wonder if there's a way we could bridge these gaps, and maybe,
we wish.
We're not selling magazines. It looks like a 30-round mag, but it's not. Yeah.
Well, the 180 platform Canadian manufacturers, quite frankly, have been our salvation over the last several years. Obviously Sterling Arms International, we have a really good relationship with them, and we actually have a really good relationship with them because, in my opinion, it's the best of the 180 platform rifles on the market in Canada, which is why we wanted to partner with them. But there's another company, Kodiak Defense. They make something called the WK180C. There's a company called Spectre Limited.
Ballistics.
Spectre Limited. They make the they make the MCR, which is very similar to the 180C. Spectre Ballistics International, they make something called the Lynx 180. And then now we're starting to have some smaller companies like True North Arms are cropping up, and they're making like enhanced upper receivers and different lower receivers. So we actually have kind of birthed a whole side industry around these 180 rifles. A subsidiary of Spectre Limited, I should mention Crusader Arms. They make the Crusader Templar, and they're actually in the United States now. They call it Crew Arms in the US. I don't know why. They just abbreviated it, but it's the 180 has kept us sane, I think, for the last 3 years or so. And companies are now, who was it that was it BCL said that they're working on a 308 version? I didn't mention BCL with the SRV2. That's a 180. The Siberian.
It might be. I'm not sure.
Somebody other than Sterling Arms has now said that they're working on an upscaled 308 version of their rifle. Maybe it was Kodiak.
I didn't hear that.
Somebody, anyways, and obviously Sterling Arms is working on it, so that we can replace that AR 102 platform. So, yeah. Anyway, I had
I'm
a
impressed.
question back
Honestly, I thought California got creative with some of their bands. But wow,
man. we like to bitch about the Canadian manufacturers a lot because they're very expensive. You know, the minimum price for a 180 rifle is about 1,500. It is Crew Arms, that's right. Yeah. About 1,400, and they're going up to about $3,000. So people like to complain about that, but I mean, like the entrepreneurial and rebellious spirit that these multiple like I won't shit on any Canadian 180 rifle. I'll mention if there's something wrong with it. I got no qualms about that, but I won't shit on any Canadian manufacturer because like the low hanging swingers that every single one of these guys has just to be producing these things in this sort of a hostile environment. Like I have too much respect for it, but
Well, there's a lot of people that'll complain about, that there's the perception that because of the limited market here, some of the people producing those types of firearms are gouging, taking advantage of, capitalizing on that fact, right? But what most people don't know is the development costs and the overhead associated with all that stuff. And
well, and it's smaller scale
the
production is
cost
more
of
expensive per
everything.
unit.
It
Yeah.
sure as hell is, yeah.
And you frankly, like anybody who is building anything in this country that doesn't factor, we can hear all your knife clicking, by the way, that doesn't that doesn't factor in like just the risk tax, right? If you're going to invest, call it, $250,000 in R&D of a new rifle, that you could be, before you even hit market, they could ban it. When you do hit market, you need to make that as an investment cost back as quickly as you can, and you need to be squirreling away a nest egg as fast as possible for the day that they do ban it.
Well,
For the next
you know,
one, yeah.
and on, yeah.
Say again.
Hey, no, well, and on top of that, it's like it's produce or die, right? Like if you quit production, then you're no longer an arms manufacturer, and so yeah, you have to get creative, and unfortunately, that's the environment that you're stuck in right now. So it's big props to guys like that who are willing to retool, rekey, redesign from the ground up to be able to make it happen, to keep going.
100%. I want to get us back on track, but before that, Alex asked this question a little while ago, and I know it's not a Mantis question, but yeah, asking for a friend. Are forced reset triggers illegal in Canada? They were illegal in Canada before they were illegal in the United States. Yeah. So I think the way that they worded it in Canada is anything how the hell did they word it? They didn't use the word forced, I don't think, but basically anything that forces the trigger to reset automatically on its own is not legal in Canada. I'm just scrolling really quickly through. The Templar rifles are solid platforms. Black Creek Siberian. Yeah, I had missed that. So in Canada, the Lockhart Raven 5.56, although that is not a 180 rifle. That's a completely proprietary rifle that looks similar to the AR-15. But the bolt on, and it's also direct impingement. It's not a piston driven thing. So we had the SAI TSR banned. Yeah. So there's a good example. The Sterling Arms International TSR rifle was banned the day after they launched it to market. So, I mean, how many hundreds of thousands of dollars, not just in R&D, but in production costs were lost from that, right?
Holy grab your ankles, hey?
Yeah, just insane. Okay, let's get back on track here. I want to talk about the Mantis X10 because that's kind of the flagship model. Has the most versatility. Let's talk about, first of all, how it works, and then let's kind of dive into it from there. So go ahead. How does it work?
Okay.
Go.
All right.
Oh, I'm asking you, Jake. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at a basic level, the idea is it's constantly running a live gyroscope and accelerometer at all times when it's powered on. The software that controls all the data that comes out of it is constantly assuming that you're trying to hit the center of whatever it is you're aiming at. right? So, as an example of this, people are always wondering, like, how does it know that I moved this way, or I pushed, or I pulled, or whatever it is at the hammer strike? And the point of that is because it's constantly live streaming, as soon as the algorithm picks up the specific vibration that is hammer strike, which differentiates from racking it or dropping the mag or slamming a mag or any other vibration profile, is that as soon as it detects hammer strike, the software rewinds all that live data by about half a second, essentially, and it goes, that's how we know which direction you moved right before the hammer strike. And that is the bread and butter. That's exactly how it works.
Yeah. Well, and it gives, like, I'm just looking at the app here. So unfortunately, I use mine with an airsoft gun. Often it's actually in my desk drawer, and across my office I have a target, little 8.5 by 11 target that I pasted on the wall, and I just dry fire practice in my office. But
Nice.
as part of that, I use it for events at my business all the time, and so I'm all over the map because it's not just me shooting this thing, but so don't judge me,
Chris. That's my excuse too. I'm a great shooter, but when people use mine at shows, horrible feedback. It really, my score's shot now.
I'll tell you, all of the high scoring ones at the top of that table, that's all me. All the low stuff, that's all me letting other people use it. Yeah, naturally.
I believe it. I do. I'm just smack.
What's really amazing about this is all the data that it gives you. Like, it's a lot of data, man. Where are we here? I'm just kind of going through the history of this particular profile. And like, it tells you whether you're pushing the trigger, pushing it forward, whether you're heeling the gun, tightening your grip when you're squeezing, too much trigger finger, too little trigger finger, breaking the wrist. Like, it tells you everything. And it's crazy. Now, that is the number one question that I get from people. Well, how does it know where I'm aiming? How does it know if I'm hitting or not? And I kind of just assumed, and this is what I've been telling people. I'm glad to hear you confirm it for me, because I just assumed that it just, you're going to have wobble. And I just assumed that it extrapolates where the center of that wobble is. That's where you're intending to aim. And so it bases whether you're hitting or not based on that. And we just lost Jake. I'm talking to nothing.
Right. He doesn't want to answer the question. I was starting to wonder if it would pick up this.
Well, I mean, we can kind of like shit talk him because he just dropped right out. He's done.
Yeah, I think he deserves it now.
Yeah, we're just going to talk shit about him until he tries to get back in.
See, I haven't done much with mine. I tried it out the one time, but I'm always so pressed for time that I didn't give it much of a chance. But on our long range rifles and that, trying to get them hooked up just to see what kind of feedback it would get. But I kind of sort of subconsciously made the assumption that you would almost need to set a center point for it to then know where your point of aim is. But I don't think that's the case, is it, Jake?
No, and sorry for the skip off there. I don't know if someone's playing video games next door or what, but I dropped here. So essentially, and that's what I was trying to say is the software is constantly assuming that wherever your muzzle is pointed, that is the dead center of your target. So that's how it knows. Like, as soon as the trigger's pulled, here's your movement half a second before. So it's constantly assuming your point of angle. Chris, you had said something about does it know? People ask you, does it know your accuracy or what you were shooting at? It doesn't, and it doesn't care, right? It's constantly looking at your movement, your fundamentals, your trigger press, everything you just.
Yeah. I was saying, as you were dropping, you probably didn't hear it. I always just assumed that it extrapolates based on your movement, pre-shot, and everything else. That it just kind of assumes that where you're aiming is kind of the center of that wobble.
Yep, exactly. That's a
Yeah.
really good way to think about it. And I'm sure if, let's see, and I don't know what your your motion looked like on those shots, but if you go to your history, you can
Yeah.
see each of those shots played back, right? So
Uh,
sometimes if the settings aren't lined up with the actual fire mode you were doing, right? Like if you have it set to live fire and you're actually dry firing, then those live traces are going to look really funky. The movement's not right, and that's because the algorithm's set up for whatever fire mode you're supposed to be in, shot detection mode.
right. Just give me a second. I'm just going to get to that, and I'll show it on the screen here.
Let's see if I can. I probably got it right here on my phone too. I'm being a poor
Here's-
Mantis salesman right now. It's right here.
So there's one
right
here.
there. That's
But
perfect.
this is,
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Yeah.
all messed up because it was draw and shoot. It wasn't holding on target, so that's why I got the big blue line. But hey, pretty good shot though, right?
You know what? I see a lot of pre-trigger squeeze movement there, but the during trigger squeeze movement looked fantastic. And yeah, I'm seeing a really good shot right there, actually.
No, well, now I was
and you
saying,
just said that was a holster draw shot.
yeah, that's why you got all the pre-trigger squeeze. Yeah, that was on that's on the 0.5 second cadence holster draw.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's why I got so much squiggly wiggly blue. Although it is a dry fire, so there's really not that much excuse for that much red, is there? Like, there's no way I have that much recoil on an airsoft gun.
No, the follow through motion can depend on a lot of things, right? Like it could be that the algorithm is detecting poorly, and whatever airsoft gun it's on or whatever it is just got like a weird something at the end of that recoil event that's making the sensor think like, oh, this guy moved straight up 6 inches when he took that shot, and that's just not the case.
Oh, okay.
Which actually leads me into something good there.
So it might have been me just like,
if you're having those detection issues.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, if you have those detection issues like that, it is something where you can reach out to our support team with a shot detection troubleshooter, which is in the settings, and say like, hey, this is what I'm using. This is the feedback I'm getting. What's going on here? And we can create a custom algorithm for that firearm.
You're kidding. And do you guys charge for that?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not kidding. No, it's a part of our support. And you know, especially if it's really an ailment. So, yeah, we want to make sure all, you know, our company goal, you know, the mission statement is train every shooter. So we're really good about trying really hard to make sure that everyone's got good detection and is training well.
That's really cool. So the problem says merge the Mantis 10X with the Laser Academy with a camera built into the Mantis and targets with QR codes. I'm willing to bet that technology is going to need to give you a couple of years before you have something like that. But the one thing. Oh, sorry, you were freezing. Are you good?
Yeah, no, I was going to say something there.
Yeah,
we are working on like the future for us is both of those technologies, and how do we merge them together to create a better training experience? People want everything in one package. You know, we don't want just Blackbeard. We don't want to re-rack the pistol every time. We want the detection built into something that will, every time I pull the trigger. So we're you know, R&D team is going really hard trying to figure out how we can agglomerate all this technology into one package to make it really easy for no matter what you're shooting to make it better.
That's got to be a difficult thing to do. You know, one of the main reasons why I use an airsoft pistol is number one, because so many airsoft guns nowadays are licensed by the actual gun manufacturers. You know, in my example, I have. You can't hear me?
No, I can definitely hear you.
Oh, okay.
My camera is messing up and it's driving me crazy.
Okay. So in my particular
I didn't
case,
mean to cut you off, Chris. I'm sorry.
no, it's all good. It's all good. In my example, I have an Umarex Glock 17. So it's licensed by Glock. It looks, feels like, other than the fact that you're not getting full recoil impulse, it's very similar, as I think as close as you can get in terms of dry fire to using an actual Glock. Now there's the magazine hold open follower on the magazines. I just stuff a piece of paper in there so that I can just rapid fire. I don't have to cock every time I shoot. I just put a green gas magazine in there, and I can, it's very similar to a similar experience to actual shooting, just with a lighter recoil impulse. With the cartridge systems, that's why I never really liked. I've got one. I can't even remember the name of the company. It's not Mantis. Oops. And I used it for maybe 2 months. I never used it again because I hate that I can only take one shot. Then I have to manually rack my handgun, and then I can go shoot again. Then I manually rack the handgun. Like, why can't I practice doubles? Why can't I practice triples? Why can't I make it a little bit more realistic in the dry fire scenario? That's the thing that I really like about the Blackbeard as well, even though I can't have it right now, is that it's simulating the ability to continuously fire without having to manually charge my firearm every time.
So I think that's exactly what Mike Hynek is asking.
Yeah, that would be miniature as hell, though.
Right.
Like,
yep.
Well, no
That's
kidding.
He's frozen again. I just until while he's coming back.
Well,
he is,
so we're trying really hard to get something figured out like that.
I would imagine you would be, yeah. I imagine the hardest part is how do you have enough of an impulse to rack the slide on an actual pistol?
Well, that's not the trick, right? The trick is actually just getting the trigger to reset. You don't have to run the whole slide to be able to do that. Just like with an AR,
yeah, you're right.
You don't necessarily have to get the whole bolt to reciprocate to get the hammer to reset. So, what we're trying to do, and we're wading through those waters, right? We're trying to figure out how do we make this happen. The best part about the Blackbeard was it doesn't matter who's manufacturing the AR. It's mil spec, right? All the specs are the same no matter what factory it's coming out of, whatever manufacturer it is. Mm-hmm. So the biggest challenge with pistols is there are thousands of manufacturers and different models and different ways to try and get that to adapt. So, what we're trying to do is focus on the largest manufacturers and the manufacturers that have the most compatibility within models, right? And there's a couple of companies I'm sure you can think of offhand that all use the same magazines across model lines. I'll use the same barrel types and lock lugs and everything like that. And so that's the future of pistols for us, at least with what we hope we're going to be able to turn out. I cannot confirm or deny that, that is coming for sure, but I can promise you we're working really hard to try and figure out a way to make that happen.
The gnomes are in the basement working on it. 3, 2, 1.
They're trying really hard.
There we go. I love the delay that we've got. Our engineering team
is fantastic. Honestly, they no. God, man, I swear this should not be my internet.
No, dude, somebody is
gigabit. Like, this isn't right.
Somebody is definitely playing something. So you've got people connected to your Wi-Fi, and they are watching so much 4K porn right now, and it's just eating your entire bandwidth. And he didn't hear that because he's fucking frozen.
About to text my wife. You better not be on Netflix.
I bet you she's on Netflix. She's on Netflix HD too. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
So we know right now the X10 obviously is the current and latest iteration
of this.
Okay. Did she say she was on Netflix? I'm seeing a nodding.
She doesn't say anything back, but I asked her if she wants to please get off the TV.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Okay, so the X10 is the current and most modern iteration of this thing. You've already said, kind of hinted that you guys are trying to work on, you know, systems like the Blackbeard in pistol form. Is there anything else that you guys have really like in the pipeline that you guys are ready to tell the public about, or that you're not ready to tell the public about, but you're going to anyway because it's us?
So, what I can
Really
talk
paint
about
me into a
is
corner
what we
here.
had out at SHOT Show, right? Like if you could see it at SHOT Show, that means we're working on it and we're welcome to talk about it. Yeah, I really hope that I don't log into work on Tuesday and get in a bunch of trouble, but I think we're okay so far. So
Okay.
yeah, at SHOT Show, we were trying to build upon our Laser Academy system, right? And that's, people are wanting, they don't want static targets. They don't want to simulate a flat range. They want to be able to go room to room with different target locations and set up new scenarios and train like that.
Yeah.
So without being able to, you know, buy a bunch of different cameras and have different targets set up for that, what we thought would be a good way to, you know, jump into that would be a projector based system. So the technology works similarly. You still have to have your phone recognizing what the projector is putting out. The projector still has the QR codes, so like the technology works the same. But with a projector based simulator, you know, you're able to set up simulations where you've got random enemies around, or you're able to, you know, do a full range or anything like that. So that's about as far forward as we can go publicly with what we've got going on with kind of new things coming down the pipeline. And that's just as far as the training simulation goes, right? Like I already said, we've got some new Blackbeards coming out, and that's taking a lot of development time. So that's kind of the big stuff here in the next couple of years, the foreseeable future. That's kind of where we're at.
So you're going to go to like full what's the word I'm looking for? I guess virtual reality, for lack of a better term. Like, is it fair to say that's kind of like your end goal? Or I don't mean the VR goggles or anything like
it
that.
Depends. But... You know, I mean, yeah, no. As of right now, the projector base is going to be the easiest. Well, I shouldn't say the easiest, but certainly the most achievable goal in the near future that would allow more in-depth, you know, target-based training. We're trying to get away from the whole flat range style. You get to hang up 9 targets that your camera can see and get feedback and scores on those, right? Mm-hmm. We wanted more there, just to be able to freshen it up, give you some more. On that note, you know, every year we, sometimes for April Fools, sometimes for Christmas, it kind of depends. We release a new target or a new drill for the Mantis X, or a Laser Academy, right? So a couple of years ago, we had the die-hard targets that were all kind of like the hostage situation. It came with a funny video. We dropped that. And Rooster, you might get this one here, because do you know what the Konami
joke
code is?
The what? The what code?
The Konami code, right? So it was like,
oh, are you talking about up, up, down, down,
Konami,
left, right, A,
like
B,
the
select,
same company
start?
that made, like, maybe not Pac-Man, but
Contra.
Yes, yeah. Exactly, right. Yeah, Contra, exactly, yes. So we released a special Laser Academy target for that. No instructions for the drill at all, just named it the Konami code, and it was a game controller. And then if you got it figured out, it unlocked a new drill for you in the software, and it unlocked a new hunt game, essentially. So you would play the hunt based on whatever the sound effect was, and it was a ton of fun. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, every year we try to do something like that to keep it fresh, so
Kurt
you're not
never
stuck using the same targets all the time.
Curt never played Nintendo either, so he
Yeah.
has no idea who Konami was and what Contra is.
I can tell you almost.
I thought for sure that was.
every model.
I thought for sure that was
various
it.
tractors from 1950, though.
I'm willing to bet you that most of the people that are listening to the show right now don't know what the Konami code is. And it wasn't just Konami, obviously. For some reason, everybody remembers Contra. Well, all the nerds remember Contra anyway.
Yeah. I was excited when I saw the video game target when I first opened my pack. When I started working here, I was like, oh, this has got to be awesome. What is this? It took me weeks. I was so stumped. No one would tell me. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I'm
so with
done.
the laser.
I guess I don't have this job anymore.
With the Laser Academy, are you still manually racking, or can you use like the Blackbeard doesn't have a laser on it?
It does. It does have a laser.
It does.
And you can use the Blackbeard on. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, now I'm really upset that I'm not American.
We have had some people shell out kind of in the past and get, like if you've got a revolver or something like that, to get multiple laser cartridges, or some double action pistols are able to constantly strike the primer. So it does make it a little easier in that sense sometimes. We also, Laser Academy will detect any visible laser. So like if you've got CERT pistols or what are the laser lights? I can't remember what those are called, like the blue ones. People use those with Laser Academy all the time too. It works great.
Really? That's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, last thing I wanted to talk to you about the X10. And oddly enough, I have not done this. I've used the airsoft so much that I don't want to take it off at the office and bring it home and then forget to take it back to the office. So I've only done dry fire with the Mantis as I'm getting used to it and getting comfortable with it. But the fact that it's usable in live fire as well is also something that I think is unique or relatively unique. Like you guys might be the only one that has a live fire feedback system. Are you? Do you know?
I think we might be, and I don't want to step on any toes here. If there's another sensor out there, sorry, but yeah, certainly the most recognizable. It's absolutely a force multiplier, right? Like when it was dry fire only, a lot of dealers got nervous just because, we didn't want to cut into ammo sales, and some people get funky about dry fire in general, even though it's like absolutely crucial for training. Getting that exact same feedback and the ability to get, all of that education, all of that data on every round you're using at the range, absolutely force multiplies what you're spending on ammo. So that was always a big deal. As soon as the X3 came out, which was the first one we had that could do live fire, that was a big game changer, because now it's not just a kind of dry fire system that's fun and neat, but now you're getting actual data back on the live rounds you're using.
Yeah. Something that I thought, I haven't looked into it yet, but I am not certain about this, but I think that there are some airsoft companies out there that are making Remington 700 airsoft guns. And I thought that would be really cool and I don't know if you can, but so for example, I've got a Remington 700 in a Magpul Hunter stock. And if you could put a Magpul Hunter stock on these airsoft guns, then that would be like an amazing way to do like training from my office, is try to make as close as I can as a duplicate in airsoft, and then go shoot the actual gun, put the Mantis on both, and just see what I can recreate compared to dry fire. And like, that's kind of like the next generation dry fire, right? You got a dry fire gun and you got a live fire gun. If you can make them both the same. Now in the States, you guys will have no problems with this, obviously, with the Blackbeard. And even with pistols, like if I have a Glock 17, then my Umarex airsoft gun works just fine. I'm just trying to think about how we can make this work in our messed up country, but I don't know. I'm rambling, I think, too.
No, it's definitely one of those deals. And I see it in the comments right now. I do think there's some actually pretty cool Model 700 airsoft guns out there right now. Yeah, Navrich, I think is his name. I used to watch him quite a bit, actually.
Oh, this is a YouTuber?
But yeah, that's absolutely something you can try and do is get simulation as close as possible to the live fire deal. And yeah, definitely a YouTuber.
Yeah, that sounds like amazing to me. Now, Kicking Mustang, I'm familiar with because he likes shooting people in the face when they don't call hits that he makes on them. I didn't realize he was using a 700 replica in most of his videos. I thought he was using something else. Yeah, that just seems like next generation dry fire training, you know?
Yeah, for sure. We get a lot of questions about, like, milsim airsoft events. They're always a really big deal, and people want new ways to be able to add to that experience and figure out, is there ways that we could bring in, the sensors? Is there a way that Laser Academy could try and detect airsoft rounds? There's all sorts of different kind of conversations being bounced off of us around that sort of deal. So it's definitely in the conversation for sure. We do not write anything out. If it's a decent idea, we'll write it down.
That's cool. Rooster, I have completely bogarted this entire conversation.
That's okay. You know what? I just looking through the app, which I admittedly haven't done a whole lot before, and I wonder if Jake could take us through some of this stuff. I'm looking at all the drills in that are available in the app. I wonder if he could speak to how they're used with the system, as well as the courses. There's a ton of real good courses here, and depending on what you have selected for a firearm, whether it's a pistol or a rifle, you shoot over to you set to rifle, and there's basic rifleman, advanced rifleman, all that kind of stuff. There's a ton of good stuff here for the training part of things. I was wondering if Jake could talk about that a little bit. It's a pretty deep app, it looks like.
Yeah. That was kind of like the whole point of once we figured out, okay, you can get this data, you can record this data, and you can read it back. That's good. What do we do with this? How do we build shooter skills from there? That's really kind of when the gears started turning, and it was like, okay, first of all, let's figure out what some of the most popular shooting drills are out there, and try and be able to think of ways that we could recreate how to train that way with the Mantis attached. And with those, once we had all these drills set up and we realized, okay, we've got good ways of training now how do we build on that further and actually start building skillful shooters? That's when we started saying, all right, let's create these courses. Let's say, a basic marksmanship course. What does that entail? Do we need to go, let's run the benchmark. Let's see what par timers look like. And then that just kind of all started snowballing together from there. And then that's when we started coming up these courses. So, and we still release new ones. Actually, just this year, we released the double action diligence.
Yeah.
And I know we've got a couple more lined up and ready to come down the pipeline here shortly for, I think it's going to be, I think expert rifleman might be one that we're going to do here pretty soon. I think we've got basic and advanced right now. So some things like that.
That's right.
We really decided, like, this is going to be a good way to continue building skillful shooters and stay engaged with with training, with the application. We don't want people to put this down. You need to keep using it and building your skill.
Yeah, this is excellent from what I see here. I haven't dug into it really much at all before this, but just going through the list for drills, like when I'm set on pistol, for the drills, there's open trainer, shot timer, par timer, not part timer, like Kris. Shoot, no shoot, Mantis X benchmark, 20-second benchmark, timed benchmark, endurance, compressed surprise break, primary hand only, support hand only, reload drills, cadence drills, hostage rescue drills. And then for the courses, we've got Mantis X introduction, then basic marksmanship, advanced marksmanship, elite marksmanship, and then there's basic combat, advanced combat, elite combat, and double action intelligence, which you just mentioned there. And then it depends on what your settings are. Like I go over to the settings tab in the app, and there's pistol or rifle, primary hand, be it left hand or right hand, of course. Shot detection mode is live, dry, and there's a more tab there. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, double action, single action, CO2 blowback. Man, it's deep. Mount direction is something I had a question about. Forward or backward, and as well, mount location, bottom, top, left, or right. What do those matter now?
I'd imagine they just tell the gyroscope and the accelerometer where to set their zero. Am I right on that?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything's based on the axis, right? X, Y, Z. And that's how it's sending all of its feedback back. So if you've got it flipped, or if it's on the top or the side, it needs to be able to roll those axes to be able to send that feedback back properly.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I realize I'm cutting you off. I think we
instruction
have
guide in
like
there.
a 3 to 5 second delay right now with poor Jake.
I know. Me too.
I'm dying here. I swear, you guys, I can download anything in the world. I'm shocked right now. Truly, I'm just sitting here like silently praying, like, all right, come on, catch up, internet. Like, I just want to talk to these guys. This is
You got all the bandwidth in the world. Your ping is just like it's like you're routing. Are you running a VPN? Like, you're on a European VPN right now or something? If he says yes, I'm going to fucking shit my pants.
No, I truly, and maybe it's just my ancient computer. It's not that old, but
it's okay. That's okay.
No,
We're
I'm not.
muddling
I
through.
swear.
We're muddling through. We're going to continue to muddle through. There was where are we going here? Mike Heineck had an idea, an ARCA adapter for the Mantis. Is that something? Anybody could do that though. All you need is just
Well, no kidding.
like something that
An
clamps
ARCA
onto
to
an ARCA with a little
pick.
pick. Yeah, just a single
Right.
pick rail. Yeah.
Come on, Mike.
So somebody should make that though. I mean, somebody has to make it. Three.
So,
I don't think
one.
that's the primary.
and I might be
focus of
ignorant here.
Mantis
I'm
right
not sure what ARCA is. Is that a rail standard?
Yeah, it's kind of like a. Do you have an example of one, Curt? It's a. How do you even describe it? Like I don't even. How would you describe it? There, you can see it right there on the first stock there.
It started out as a camera mounting or camera equipment mounting system. It's just a wider rail, so you can see that it's beveled on the edges, just like a 1913 rail or pick rail would be.
Show it again
But
there,
it's just
Curt.
much wider. It's just a different mounting variation, I guess.
So what we were saying is all
Just
someone
a
needs to do
different
is
standard entirely. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
pretty highly used in PRS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
it allows
We do
kind of
have
unlimited positioning
the
on
X10
there
kit
rather than
itself
just the
comes with
slots
all
in there.
sorts of different universal adapters. Well, not all sorts, but two.
Oh, say that again.
Well, I didn't mean to cut over you, Rooster. Sorry. These X10 kits, and I've got one right here, so I'm just gonna pull it out and show you what we got here. It comes with two different universals, and essentially, it comes with a universal pick rail that the sensor can mount to. It's got a little hole in it so that if you're doing archery or if you've got a screw spot in the bottom of a revolver pommel, anything like that, it'll hook up to that. This also has like the 3M, I can't remember the name of the adhesive, but it's like a really cool 3M adhesive. It doesn't leave residue, sticks really good. So any flat surface like that Arca rail would be a perfect spot. Wherever you want the Mantis, you can stick that on there and it'll still detect the same. And then any long gun, anything with a longer barrel, we've got the BR7 clamp here, and it comes with these rubber wedges that you can help kind of get a good firm grip around the barrel to be able to mount it that way too. So these are just the universals that come with the X10. If you go look on our website, we've got all sorts of rail adapters. We've got magazine base plate adapters that are molded with a rail on them. Stuff like that. So we really are kind of like adapter city, and people sleep on that because you don't really realize, like, when you go look at the site, we've got hundreds of different rail adapters to be able to get the Mantis on it.
I'm just on the website right now looking for rail adapters. You got barrel mounts with a pick on it, BR4 bore rails with pick adapters sets. The barrel mount, which obviously you just showed us, comes with it. Oh, isn't that cool? You've got an adapter that fits onto the bottom, the floor plate of a Beretta magazine, and it has a pick rail, so you can mount it on the bottom of the.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of them. CZ75. Yeah, I mean Glock, but I mean I need the. Yeah, okay. I'm just rambling now. So yeah, here, let me
well,
do this.
And a big purpose of that too is like the X10, it has the holster draw analysis too.
Okay, yeah.
Right, I see that Glock holster.
Yep. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, so if you're the type of shooter that has, you run with like a weapon mounted light, or you've got a laser, or, you've got something on the accessory rail, or you don't have an accessory rail, and you don't, you practice like you play, you want to be able to train that way. That's what a lot of these floor plate adapters are for. And then secondly, the X10 comes with the holster draw analysis, right? It's going to see your pull, your stroke, your punch, and rate you on that. And with that, you don't want to go get a special holster that would allow the X10 to be mounted. Fine, put it on the bottom of your magazine plate and then do your holster draw with whatever holster you have.
That's neat.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know why I've never gone to the website. Didn't even know you guys had all these adapters on there.
Yeah, we've got a ton of stuff on there. And most of these problems have been thought through, right? Like we've been doing this for a while now, and at least when it comes to the sensors, it's something that we've seen quite a few of them, and we've adapted to a lot of different ways to make it work.
Let me ask you a question. Do you are you aware of, or do you guys sponsor any competitive shooters that use your system while they're competing and then analyze their competition shooting?
So yes and no. We've definitely got some competitive shooters using our stuff. I don't think they're allowed, and I could be kind of overstepping here because I'm not entirely sure. But I know Michelle Vespucci. I don't know if that name rings any bells. She shot Staccato and Beretta for a long time, and is still in doing that. She uses our system all the time. I feel horrible saying this because I'm going to mess his name up. Daniel might start with an H, maybe. The SIG team captain. He's been using our sensor on and off here basically since SHOT Show, and he's starting to see actually a lot of feedback from that as well. Just a couple weeks ago, JJ Ricazza from Beretta got to use our sensor on the range, and then we have some cool like influencer type shooters as well that are definitely using it. So Hannah Barron Outdoors, she runs our sensors. Garan Thumb, he's using our stuff.
Everybody knows Hannah Barron.
Who did I just miss?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
What a
Right.
sweetheart.
So yeah, we've got a lot of people. Oh, duh. And then the big one I missed. The Michuliks, both Jerry and Lena are big components of our stuff. They use it all
Our
the time
good
too.
buddy Jerry uses that. We forgot to ask him.
We've got shooters
yeah, Jer Bear.
Yeah, our good buddy Jer Bear. We've got a bit of a running joke on the show that that Jerry Michaluk is our buddy. We too much delay.
I'm just going to be jealous. I've never met him, and I would love to.
We got him a couple of years ago to do a just through I don't think it was through Cameo, but like the same idea as Cameo, where we basically paid him to do like a 10-second intro for our show that we used to play at the beginning of the show. And then we said, just our good buddy Jerry, just saying hi for us, and we got him to say, like, you're watching them. At the time, it was called the First Focal Plane Podcast, and said us by name and all this kind of stuff. So we were playing it up. Then we went to SHOT Show. Yeah. Then we went to SHOT Show in 2022, and we did like a quick photograph with him, and that was it. And everybody was making fun of me, like, well, why didn't you put your good buddy Jerry on the video and chat and all this kind of stuff? So last year when we were down, Curt and I, we actually weren't even looking for them. We were in, whose booth were we in? Was it Dylan?
No, we were down near CCI, Federal.
Was it Federal?
Primers.
Oh, it was right after Dylan. That's right. Yeah. We were in Federal, and we just kind of like turn around, and there's his wife. And we're like, holy crap, this Jerry Mitchell. And she's like, yeah, he's right there. He was looking for primers too. So we got him to do this video where he was basically like, I'm hanging out at SHOT Show with my good buddies, Kris and Rooster from the Ballistically Speaking podcast. And so, yeah, anyway. This is our brush with fame.
There may or may not have been a litigation after that. It's all good now.
Yeah. We are literally the definition of like gun bunnies, except for the bikini.
No, this is just
Right.
No. It's manifest. It's manifest. Ballistically Speaking is going to go huge. Jerry Michaluk, you guys are going to be best friends. You're going to have conversations every weekend. Get all sorts of cool stuff going on it. That's what it is. You're just setting up for that.
In my dreams, we already are best friends. And that's good enough for me. Yeah.
It works.
Anyway, back to the topic at hand. What I was thinking was it would be a very valuable tool, especially for PRS, Rooster, if you had the system, even if you weren't following it shot per shot, but you had the system on your rifle while you were competing, and then after the event you'd be able to go through every single shot that you took in the event, which I would imagine would be a very good training tool.
Yeah, I've been saying since we got this system,
I
need to hook it up to the ELR rifles to see what it tells me there, but I just haven't gotten there yet. We really need to get that sorted out.
We're going to shut up for 5 seconds, Jake, so that you can respond.
No. I was going to say, we've got some like bullseye, there's like a bullseye mode that you can turn on in the advanced settings, and ISSF, so we're working in the competition realm, and that's only going to grow. You know what I mean? So as the system gets more dialed in and tighter, and we're able to do and set up more algorithms for specific kind of competition shooting. That's absolutely something that's, we would do, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
definitely not a horrible idea at all. That's something I'm going to jot down and take back to the team later.
There you go. JR seems to think that people would shit on you if you got caught with it on your rifle. I don't know why though, but I'm not really much of a competitive rifle guy. What do you think, Curt? Mike says all the more reason that I want to.
It probably depends on what event. If there's a bunch of prudes out there that think you're getting an advantage somewhere,
I don't know.
somehow,
I mean, like it's
high level stuff that maybe they'd object, but I think for the most part, I doubt that anybody would really care. And once they see the value of a system like this, they'd probably join in as well.
I'm just responding to JR here, and then I'm going to. Sorry.
No, Rooster's absolutely right there, right? Like, before athletes started drinking Gatorade, it was just water, and before Glock, it was steel frame pistols only, and if it was poly or plastic, it was absolutely a no. So it's a regime change. It really is, and
right.
I think Mantis would probably love it if every competition shooter in the world was using their Mantis for competition to take all those analytics and data back and watch film, so to speak.
JR's thinking, his question is what keeps the feed from being monitored so you could get outside coaching? Well, the security features on the app would prevent that. But if your coach had the app, then your coach would be able to give you outside coaching, I suppose. It's an interesting idea, actually. Mm-hmm. I can see what JR's point on it for sure.
How valuable might that be, though, in the midst of competition, though? You know what I mean?
Well,
it's no different than having your shot called. I'm thinking PRS.
Right.
I don't know why, but I'm only
I guess
thinking...
there's...
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, this is all at the limitations of Bluetooth technology, right? So like maybe technically you could have the sensor feed back to two different devices with the same feed. Sure, I'm sure that's possible somewhere. Maybe you can make that happen. But, if you're way out on the ranged firing line, or you're running a course or something like that, and you've got your phone in your pocket, that's going to be close enough for Bluetooth to feed, but it's not going to be close enough for coach or whoever's back behind the firing positions or whatever to be able to stay linked up long enough to make that happen. But that's,
and you can't
also,
link it to more than
that all depends on where everything goes as far as technology is concerned. So maybe not right now. It can't right now, right? It can only go to one. So, but that's right now. So
see, now this is exactly where I thought JR was going with this. Yes. I think having one is awesome, but given the FUDs that write the rules, I can see grief. And I can absolutely see that 100%. It's not a matter of, is it a cheating tool? Yeah, it's a matter of, do people understand the technology well enough to think that it is what it isn't, maybe. But anyway,
right.
Jake, we're kind of coming to the end here. I want to know if there's anything that we haven't touched on that you need the unwashed masses to hear about Mantis X. He's thinking.
I think we did a really good job covering what we do, what the mission is, where we're trying to go. But honestly, more than anything, the mission being train every shooter in the world, it truly is one of those things where if you end up watching this episode, or you're ever on the fence, or you've never been kind of curious about dry fire or anything like that, the whole point of this is becoming a better shooter, a more proficient shooter. So if you think there's something out there that you haven't tried, and it might look goofy, or people might frown on it, or anything like that, and it makes you a better shooter, there's no harm in trying it to become a better shooter. That's really the whole point of what we try to do. We just want to make you better, more proficient shooters, period.
Fantastic. Rooster, last word, man. I've been cutting you off all the time, all show.
Oh no, I'm quite happy to listen and observe most times, but I think it's a pretty deep system. I alluded to before, where there's a lot here that most people, most shooters like to get to the range and do a whole bunch of shooting and not a lot of analytical stuff. It's only the kind of top couple of percent that might actually do the analytical stuff after range time. I mean, you look at just simple dry fire without any sort of equipment, just in their house. Hey, I'm wake up this morning, go have my coffee, maybe do a workout or whatever. Now I'm going to take 15 minutes to do dry fire. How many people actually do that? Maybe, and there's some of them that do it, twice a day sort of thing, 15 minutes of pop. How many fewer people actually take a system like this and analyze what they've done instead of just going through the paces? I think if a shooter latched onto this system and really studied what he or she was doing through those dry fire sessions, if they actually even got there, would be a massive help. I think I'm one of those guys included. I've been, like I said earlier, I've been talking about using this on the ELR stuff all bloody summer, and I just haven't gotten there. But I think it would. There's a couple of things here. I think it would give you valuable feedback as to what you're doing, but there's also the danger of, how do I say, sort of injuring my ego too, because I have a certain perception, really, let's call it what it is, right?
Yeah.
I have a certain perception of how well I do, and I think I do okay. And most of us are all right with thinking that we do okay. And then when finer details are pointed out, you're missing this, and this. Oh, it can't be.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. But those challenges are the only way you're going to actually advance past where you are right now.
That's a good question. That's a good question for Jake, actually. How often does somebody call tech support and they're like, oh, my accelerometer's off or my gyroscope is out. I'm not that bad of a shooter.
I'm pretty sure mine is defective because the trace, the graph that tracks your movements is always down and to the left with a pistol. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think it's broken.
It's definitely broken. Yeah.
Single time.
Do you guys get that a lot?
It's hypersensitive. There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
Must be female.
I'm just going to give 5 seconds for...
All right. Uncomfortable silence.
Yeah, we should be good. Okay. Well, you know what? With that, Jake, thank you for joining us on the show. This was a lot of fun learning about the Mantis system. And, it's every at first I kind of dismissed it. It's just it's another dry fire system. Then we saw it at SHOT Show. And we're like, oh, this isn't just another dry fire system. Then we started working with it. And we were like, this is so much more than we thought it was. And they were like, let's bring them on the show. Let's talk about it. And, just in the last hour and a half, I've already learned a whole bunch more about it that I didn't even know, just from using the system I didn't even know about. So thank you for taking the time and hanging out with us. Everybody else, if you're still watching us.
You guys, I appreciate you having me, and it's been great. And yeah. And I'm excited to share everything.
Fantastic, man. That delay just fucks you right up, doesn't it? Everybody else, if you're still watching the show, make sure you check us out on Facebook or facebook.com/BS podcast. You can find us on our website, which is bspodcast.ca. If you want to send us an email, why would you? But if you want to, you can email us at info@bspodcast.ca. ballistically-speaking.ca. You can also find us on Rumble. You can find our videos on Rumble. You can find our videos on YouTube. And what am I missing? I believe that's most of it. If you want the audio version of our podcast, it can always be streamed wherever your podcasts are found. Just search Ballistically Speaking Podcast. And finally, a big thank you. Curt, do you want to do this one?
Sure. Yeah. Big thank you to all of our sponsors who are with us every episode. Shane and Steve with EM Precision Rifles, Miles, Carey, and Cappy with call sign 66, Duncan and Rob at Bolt Action Coffee, Phil Odell at Odell Engineering, Doug and Niza with March Scopes Canada, Vanya and Carly with Apex Optics, Oscar with Ribstone Gunsmithing, and J.R. Cox with The Shooting Edge in Calgary, Canada.
And now I'm sorry.
What?
My
I don't do well with uncomfortable silences.
What happened was Jake's internet is lagging and my brain is lagging at the same time. It was just an unfortunate coincidence.
It's not just me.
It's not just you. Okay, well, thanks again, Jake, for being on the show. I'm going to pause for 5 seconds, give you the last word, and then we're going to hit the button. Go ahead. 5, 4, 3, 2.
Thank you guys
1.
so much. It's been fantastic being here, and I hope you'll have an excellent evening. And thank you for tuning in to Ballistically Speaking. This has been good. Hope you all have a good night.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rooster, you pressing the button or am I pressing the button? I don't even know what's happening here.
The buttons. God damn. Jesus, where's the buttons?
I want to
Give me
push the
buttons.
button.
Okay, I got the buttons.
All right. See you
folks.
next week,
Thanks
Pilks.
a lot.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Ballistically Speaking podcast.